I'm Arnon Levy. I'm an associate professor at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, currently a visiting fellow here at the center. Pretty much any topic in philosophy and most areas in philosophy of science are interesting to me, so I've been very happy to be in such an active environment when there are so many talks and groups and activities that I can enjoy. Most of my work concerns modeling and the ways in which models are used to understand complex systems, especially in biology. I'm, in one sense, both a critic and, in another sense, a fan of modeling, in a sense that I think that on the one hand, they're invaluable tools that allow scientists to understand the world and make theoretical and empirical progress. But on the other hand, I think they're liable to lead us astray in various sorts. So, for instance, I've developed a view of modeling as akin to, similar to in some ways, fiction, not in the sense of literature or cinema, but more in a broader sense in which models employ the imagination in a kind of constructive way. And I've argued that this, on the one hand, lends them a certain kind of power, but on the other hand, allows them to lead us astray and to lead us into sort of error and confusion. So this sort of dual attitude, for instance, I've developed it in the context of metaphors of information in biology, especially in genetics and cell biology. So I've argued that on the one hand, metaphors such as signaling and related informational metaphors are powerful tools for understanding in these contexts. But on the other hand, if we forget that they're metaphors and we treat them as literal descriptions of cells and various molecular phenomena, then we're led into all sorts of mistakes and confusions. Another instance of this is metaphors and analogies to machines in cell biology especially, where I think on the one hand, these are analogies that have a certain power and that allow us to understand certain complex phenomena, but on the other hand, it's important not to use them outside of their appropriate context and get into mistakes and misunderstandings because of that. A lot of my work is concerned the role of models in explanation and understanding. Here too, I'm kind of a bit of a critic and a bit of a fan and a bit of a critic. I think that models, especially idealized and abstract models, have a lot to teach us about what explanation is. In particular, I think that they show us that we should take a much more psychologistic attitude towards explanation, and we should associate it much more closely than people usually do with understanding. But on the other hand, I think that when idealized and abstract models are, so to speak, unmoored from reality, that can lead to all sorts of illusions of understanding and to mistakes about how much of an explanation we have. In the past few months, maybe the past year, I've become more interested in questions that often sort of go under the rubric of science and values. And I think I have a somewhat old-fashioned kind of approach in this areas, in the sense that I tend to draw fairly sharp boundary between factual work and factual assessment and questions of value judgment. But here too, I think that there's a very interesting aspect to these questions when they're considered in the context of models and model building. Many of the places or points of contact between scientific work and social and moral and political issues arise in scientific areas that are model heavy, from public health and epidemiology through climate science. And so I'm hoping to approach these issues in part through or with the sort of background, against the background of the thinking about models that I've done before. And I'm sure that here at the center, I'll find people to talk about this with, to learn from about these issues, and so I'm hoping to develop these ideas in the near future.